Pakistan has to outline that it has the right to retaliate. But if there is going to be a cessation of hostilities, then the underlying causes of this Indian aggression must be addressed. And that underlying cause is the Kashmir dispute, which needs to be addressed.
A number of
Well,
drones releasing towards Pakistan and attack on Pakistan.
they are now at the second stage of utilizing their drones against Pakistan, and we are shooting them down. So those are not very effective either.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to program Inside in V News English. Dear viewers, tension between Pakistan and India, two South Asian nuclear states, is escalating. After Indian strikes inside in Pakistan, Pakistani Air Force gave a befitting response to those aircrafts which fired inside in Pakistani territory. And ultimately, 5 of the Indian top fighter jets were shot down. It was not only Indian fighter jets. On the other hand, at the line of control, India has also resorted to unprovoked firing and shelling on the civilian areas. And Pakistani military at the line of control is giving a very strong response to Indian unprovoked shelling and firing. And so far, more than 7 to 8 Indian military posts have been completely destroyed. At some of the posts, India is hoisting white flags that shows that India has accepted defeat. But why it all happened when international diplomacy was in action? United Nations Secretary General took keen interest even before this conflict and spoke to Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, spoke to Indian leadership, and Pakistan also convened a session of the UN Security Council and took UN Security Council into confidence. Pakistan's narrative was that Pakistan is ready to assist India in investigating Pahalgam incident. To discuss this all and how things are going into the future, we are fortunate to have with us Pakistan's former seasoned diplomat, Pakistan's former permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Munir Akram Saab. Ambassador Munir Akram Saab, very warm welcome to program Inside in V News English. So my immediate question would be that before these Indian attacks inside in Pakistan, the United Nations was taking very keen interest in preventing India from carrying out any possible attack, but India didn't pay any attention, any heed to the UN Secretary General's call and finally attacked Pakistan, although a befitting response was given. So, and the second thing was that UN Security Council meeting was also called, where Pakistan informed the Security Council member that there is a possible threat of an attack from Indian side. So, your analysis that what prompted India, that India didn't listen to Pakistan, India didn't comment to the Pakistani offer of investigation, it didn't pay any attention to UN Secretary General, it didn't pay any attention to the P5 members. Ambassador Munir Saab.
I believe that the Indians thought that they had military superiority and that they would have a diplomatic cover in order to justify their attack, and that there would not be any response to their attack. More than everything else, we must know that the government in India is an extremist regime. It has sought to take advantage of its hostility towards Pakistan in order to build domestic support. And I believe that that was the main objective, which is to once again promote a narrative of Indian dominance and Indian action against punishment against Pakistan in order to build domestic support. So I believe these are some of the factors which led the Indians to mount this attack. And unfortunately, they have received a very strong response in self-defense from Pakistan, and hopefully they will be deterred from further action. But now it is Pakistan's turn. Pakistan has said that we will take retaliatory action. Um, the world is now coming to Pakistan and to India and saying there should be a cessation of hostilities. Pakistan has to outline that it has the right to retaliate. But if there is going to be a cessation of hostilities, then the underlying causes of this Indian aggression must be addressed. And that underlying cause is the Kashmir dispute, which needs to be addressed.
Which needs to be addressed, Kashmir dispute. But Ambassador Munir Akram Saab, we have seen another development in last 24 hours. Across Pakistan, 77 Indian drones made of Israel were detected and finally shot down by Pakistani security forces. So far there have been no major damage except 3 casualties and number of people got injured. How you describe this Indian tactics, this violating airspace, sending massive drones, different cities from Karachi to Lahore and Islamabad and Rawalpindi. And before these drones could have done something, these drones were shot down. So how you describe this new tactics from India, a number of
Well,
drones releasing towards Pakistan and attack on Pakistan?
you see, they have three or four options. The first option was to use the aircraft and the missiles from the aircraft against Pakistan, which they did, and we shot down 5 or 6 of the aircraft. They can't use the Air Force anymore. The Air Force has been withdrawn 300 kilometers beyond our borders, so we can't reach them. At the same time, they have the drone option, and they have on the escalatory ladder, they have the missile option, and they have the land incursion option. They are now at the second stage of utilizing their drones against Pakistan, and we are shooting them down. So those are not very effective either. So now we have to see what else they can do. And the next step is would be a very serious escalation, which would be either a land incursion or a missile attack. And of course, we have the capability to deter and to repel such action.
Another thing is, Ambassador Munir Akram Saab, if I would like to update that Japanese Foreign Minister called and Minister of State of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Adel Al-Jabir is here in Islamabad. Last night, American Secretary of State called Pakistani Prime Minister and also spoke to Indian External Affairs Minister. There have been series of telephone calls from Pakistani political leadership, Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. Calls are being made. There are visits in Islamabad. So, do you think that the diplomacy which is in action could save both Pakistan and India from going into further escalation? As you said, that there is a strong possibility of escalation, but at the same time, diplomacy is in action.
You see, everybody is now coming to Pakistan and to India to say that there should be a cessation of hostilities. But the fact is that India has committed aggression and we have the right to respond. I believe that if we are to respond to these approaches for a cessation of hostilities, we should do it only on a conditional basis, which is that we can accept the cessation if it is agreed that India has committed aggression, and secondly, that the underlying cause of the hostility between India and Pakistan is addressed, which is the Kashmir dispute, and India comes back into conformity with the violations of international law, which is the Indus Waters Treaty, must be respected.
So this is what my next question is. India has also put Indus Water Treaty in abeyance after 22nd April Pahalgam incident. India took certain unilateral actions, closed border, and cancelled the visas of Pakistanis who were on a visit to India. and expelled some of the Pakistani diplomats from New Delhi. So I read your comments that despite past wars between Pakistan and India, this Indus Water Treaty remain intact. So, what do you think? This putting in abeyance Water Treaty, isn't it the violation of treaty itself, and it's also the violation
Well,
of international law?
yes, of course, it's a violation of international law. There is no provision in the treaty for its suspension, and it is an existential threat. If India is able to shut off our waters, this is an existential threat to Pakistan, and then we would have every right to respond to that as an act of war, and we have said so. So I believe that this was one of the cards that India had to play to put pressure on Pakistan. They're doing everything else. They're trying to cut off loans and monetary support to Pakistan. They're doing all kinds of tricks. We have to respond to each one of them, and we have so far responded effectively to each one of their moves. And inshallah, we will respond to whatever else they try and put forward in their aggression against Pakistan.
Lastly, I would like to seek your comment that before this escalation started, there is a mechanism between India and Pakistan to address this terrorism issue. Whenever there have been any incident, unfortunately, India put blame on Pakistan. So Pakistan always offered cooperation, joint investigation, and things like that. So, but India is not listening to this. So, question to you is how this issue of terrorism could be tackled, right? Although it is a global issue, terrorism is a global issue, but particularly India is not listening to Pakistan, and whenever there is any terrorism-related incident, immediately Pakistan is blamed. So, how it could be tackled then? Things will keep happening. Pakistan would be blamed. Ambassador Saab.
Well, the whole issue of terrorism has to be looked at comprehensively. If there's going to be a look at the issue of terrorism, we must also see what India is doing against us in Balochistan, in the
Exactly,
frontier,
transnational
supporting
terrorism in
TPP.
Balochistan. Exactly.
That's right. So it has to be looked at comprehensively. It's just not one incident that looks. We should look at it comprehensively, and we can propose a mechanism to address that. But I come back again to the issue that the whole problem arises because of the Kashmir dispute. India cannot continue its occupation of Kashmir. It will always erupt in resistance from the Kashmiris, and they will blame Pakistan. Therefore, this underlying issue must be resolved if there is going to be peace between India and Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Munir Akram Saab, Pakistan's former permanent representative to the United Nations at New York, for sparing special time to speak on this current issue and tension between Pakistan and India. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.